Bluff City Media presents The Anthony Sain Show on YouTube at Bluff City Media. Stepping up to the microphone is your host, Anthony Sain.
Acknowledge me.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Anthony Sain Show. This is, of course, your host, Anthony Sain. My boy, Kenny Stubblefield, behind the glass. Kenny, what's going on with you, brother?
Man, it's a good day, bro.
Man, we've been together all day, damn near.
Hey, man, listen,
yeah,
that's why it's a good day.
Yeah, we linked up today at the Lori Walton today for the Memphis availability. Since the last time we talked, we did go to the Lori Walton building today for the University of Memphis press conference. Coach Penny Hardaway was there, as well as Caleb Mills, 6'3", 6'4" shooting guard, as well as Jaden Hardaway, the son of Penny Hardaway. He's a 6'5", 6'6" wing. I think that was what we would describe him.
Yeah, he's a wing. Yeah. Absolutely.
5-year senior, Jaden Hardaway. I'm sure they'll probably find a way to get him a little bit more eligibility after this season.
The only guy at this point, that is back from last year's team.
Cool media availability, man. I walked in. It was my first media availability I've been to in a very long time for the Tigers. And when I walked in, one thought hit my mind. Other than seeing my boy Kenny Stubblefield, one thought hit my mind, and that was that the traditional old-school media scrum days are over. I don't think we'll ever see that again. For those of you who don't know, a media scrum is when the person of honor, whether it be the coach or the player, whoever it is, they basically stand against a wall or in a corner or at a podium, and people kind of stand around them with mics to their face and interview them. Like those, you just don't see that much. You see it at practice, like at the Grizzlies practice, you might see that, or the Tigers let you in for practice, they may do that. But as far now, if you go for an official media availability, they're sitting at a table at a podium, and you're firing off questions, and it's just a different vibe.
Yeah, I mean, COVID definitely switched all that up, right? Like they did that up until COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I hadn't been. That was my first one since COVID, so that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, those days are clearly over. I will say this: shout out to the people over there for the University of Memphis, their media relations team. I will say this: Penny Hardaway looked super comfortable, man. Like he looked like I've seen him kind of come off as arrogant or kind of a little bit too happy to be there when it comes down to press conferences. But he was super smooth, balanced this morning for sure. And I think he should be, man. He's put together a hell of a class. I'm tripping because he's up there talking, and they're like, okay, well, who all can we talk about? It was like, well, everyone is signed.
Right.
And then somebody said, can we talk about Jay Quan? Yeah, he's signed. I was like, wait a minute.
They just announced it.
Right. And then Penny's like, yeah. He was in practice today. I'm like, what? Like, this dude's here practicing, bro.
Yeah.
Like, this is the dude that, you heard rumblings about his name, but for him to come out there and for Penny to say, that kid's here, he's practicing, he just committed.
Guess when he got here?
When? This morning, right?
3 a.m.
Yeah.
In the morning.
He's at practice.
And he's at practice that morning.
Jaquan Walton, a 6'7", wing, shot over 50% from the field, 42% from three. About a 13-point per game score last year at Wichita State. Had a pretty wild roller coaster as far as recruiting goes this summer. Originally committed to Alabama. Unfortunately, things didn't work out there. They decided, mutually to part ways. Committed to UCF, and now he's with the University of Memphis. Excited to have him here. Of course, we heard the news that Tiafale Leonard.
Hey, good job, man.
What's that?
You got it right.
That's right. Tiafale. Well,
it's close.
Gabe would say his name was something else.
I know.
Anyway,
listen.
Hey, who cares at this point? Because he
ain't with us.
He ain't with us no more. Shout out to him. We pour out some liquor to my boy Tiafale Leonard. But we heard the news, of course, that he's will be, for all intents and purposes, he's gone. And you bring in a guy like Jaquan Walton, big. Probably a swing. Like Leonard was more of a defensive specialist.
Yep.
Probably easily going to be your best defender on the team. Probably on and off the ball. He's probably going to be one of your leaders in shot blocks as well.
I mean, coming into the season, he was rated number 6 in the country on defense.
Right.
So yeah, he was going to be your best guy.
Kind of your Sean Marion type, defender. You get Walton, who's much more of an offensive threat. Scored about, like I said, 13 points a game. 42% from three in college basketball is shooting the ball at a very high clip. That's going to be exciting, man. When you kind of think of the amount of shooting this team is going to have compared to years past, plus experience. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that whole situation. I asked Coach Hardaway a question as far as the conference stuff is going, how you've had all this talk this summer about the Big 12 and things like that. Memphis, as of right now, is on the outside looking in, and I asked him, how is that affecting him? He was very optimistic about it. He said that, it has challenges, of course, but he said most guys, they think about the league. They think about winning. The league is the NBA and not what conference they're in. He said a few guys thought about that, but he was talking about how in today's times, how if guys are good, they're playing on good college teams, regardless of where you are, scouts will find you. And he said, if you look at some of the guys now, your Damian Lillards, your Steph Currys, he didn't mention Ja Morant, but Ja Morant, as far as guys who went to these smaller schools and they just played their asses off and they won at a high level in college, and the scouts found him, and I definitely agree with him on that. I'm not really concerned with basketball as far as the conference realignment stuff goes, but he seemed to be very optimistic about that. He was giving praises for the other teams in the conference. Not sure I buy that. I'm not sure how much he's really thinking about that. I wanted to ask him about the FAU thing, but I didn't. I did ask Jaden Hardaway that. You get to see FAU twice a year, a team that you ended your season with a tough loss in the tournament. I was going to ask him about that, but I didn't. But it was just good to see Coach Hardaway in good spirits with a very, 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 very solid roster. You're talking about a team who, in my opinion, is going to be a top 15, top 10, probably preseason team. Regardless of rankings, I just think they're going to be that. You got a team with that much experience, that much winning, guys. When you've got double-digit scores in college basketball, multiple like this team has. I think I'm counting 4. I got Quinn Lee, DeAndre Williams,
David Jones.
David Jones was double-digit. Walton was what's our big's name? I can't.
Jordan Brown.
Jordan Brown,
19 and 8.
Yeah, that's 5.
Yeah,
double-digit scores you've got. Returning D1 players on your team. So I'm excited about that. Plus some, the Tiafale Leonards of the world, the Jordan Pierres, all these type of guys. Is it Jordan Pierre? No.
Jonathan Pierre.
Jonathan Pierre. I was about to call him Jeremy Pierre. That might be my next guess.
If you look at it, here's my theory on shooting in college basketball. If you get a kid that can shoot over 36% from 3, you got a shooter on your team.
Yeah. And
they got Jaquan Walton is that guy. They got multiple of those guys now. So, yeah, it's a good look, man.
Yeah, I was excited to see, Penny Hardaway's optimism. I think he's got this thing figured out, and it's going to be an exciting year. Next up to the podium was Caleb Mills, who I was highly impressed with. He is officially the first player from this class that I've heard speak. And all I saw, man, was just leadership. I saw a guy who's focused.
Right.
A guy who's been around. He knows, nothing surprised him. Not his first go around, But he didn't seem like he was nonchalant about everything. They asked him, does he feel like he's a leader on this team? He said, yeah, he does. He's out there with guys who, he was giving praise to the freshmen on the team. It's just exciting stuff, man. He gave praise to this Tiger team back when he played against Houston. As you know, he went to Houston, did a couple years at Florida State. I think Caleb Mills is going to be a great player for this team. Very dynamic scorer. He said if he had to be on the ball, he could. He came from a program that had a positionless offense as well. He just kind of looks the part. He looks like he's that guy who can, kind of show some leadership.
Yeah, I asked the question about him playing on ball.
Yeah.
It was a poorly worded question, by the way. I kind of, off the top of my dome, asked the question.
Yeah.
But it holds true. Like, I think before Javon Quinterly came on board, my guess was that Penny was going to be using Caleb as the one, and bringing in Young as the backup point guard. What bringing in this team that he's brought in, these guys, Javon Quinterly, Raekwon Walton, those guys, is it allows the players to go back to their rightful positions, right? It puts them in their rightful spot, because one thing about Caleb that we know is he the quickest dude on the court? Never. But the guy is smooth from the wing, man. Like, he is a smooth player, gets to the basket really well. He's just a good player all the way around. And I'd much rather see him at that position than at the point guard position. And that's what bringing in a guy like Javon Quinterly will do.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited about all of this, man. This seems like this may be a team that can get me off the couch for Memphis Madness, Kenny. I said I was done. The last one, that was it.
What about the cookout?
I'm not doing the cookout, period. Can't do it. I'm good. It looked too safe. It looked too safe. It looked too tame.
I feel you.
It was too many older white people out there just kind of vibing. Like, nah. I need to do something where it's kind of sketchy feeling. Like,
Did you get a little glimpse of like the movie Get Out a little bit?
Yeah, it kind of had them kind of vibes, man. You could like walk up to the players and touch them, and I think that was kind of. I couldn't get with the cookout. I passed. So the cookout ain't never happening. Yeah, but man, it was just looked too safe. Looked too sterile, man. Like it was in Germantown, but it was without the diesel water. You know what I mean? It needed to be like some diesel water in Germantown.
Put a little Memphis Madness is Germantown water with a little diesel in it.
Yeah. What is it in Germantown though? Where was it? Where was the whole thing?
No, it was on the what's it called? The courtyard basically at the school.
On the wild thing in Germantown.
It was at the school, but it was in that little courtyard area in the front.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling it. It looked like it was some DeAndre, can I touch your hair? No, you can't touch his hair, man. But no, I ain't doing the cookout, man. Bring y'all scary ass to the FedEx Forum.
That's right.
Out there by the old Foot Homes. Do that. Oh, man. But no, Caleb Mills, I like him, man. I think he'll be okay. That's my guy right now. Until I hear somebody else talking, that'll be my guy too. Last person up at the media availability today was Jaden Hardaway. Not sure I've ever heard Jaden Hardaway talk in 5 years.
That's his dad, man. His father is Penny Hardaway. When he talks, you can tell.
And bro, it was so weird because I actually took a hard look at him and I could just see Penny in his face.
1,000%.
The little goatee thing under here. I was like, good God, bro. You're like, I see your dad in you a lot.
Yep.
Jaden Hardaway, if you were just like, you talk about looking the part. Like Jaden Hardaway looks like a hooper, bro. Like he actually looks like
he does.
He's got a nice, shape, nice size, everything. Look, he'll go out there and kill you. I'm pulling for him this year. Just happy for him, man. This is his 5th year. You're the son of one of the greatest players of all time, the greatest player to ever pick up a basketball in the city of Memphis. That's your dad, so you just understand the kind of pressure that comes with that. I'm pulling for him. He just has fun, man. I hope this is a very good team, and if he plays a part in it, whether how big or small, I hope that he just has a good time this year, and I hope that I'm just pulling for him to, do his thing, man. This is his 5th year. Guy's got a ton of criticism, and I just hope he just has a fun 5th and final year.
Not to totally pull on heartstrings, but Jaden's got a soft spot in my heart because
go ahead.
Penny came out a few years ago, and Jaden, both him and Penny, basically disclosed that Jaden is on the spectrum,
right?
And it is, as a father of a son who's on the spectrum, Jaden Hardaway is like for me as somebody, my son's only 9 years old. Right. He doesn't care about sports or anything like that at this point. But I look at Jaden Hardaway and I go, this is what I want my son to be like. Right? When he's 21, 22 years old, is somebody who is able to sit down in front of a large group of people that he doesn't know and answer questions and be able to have conversation and be a high-level Division I athlete and be successful at what he does.
Right.
Like that to me is like, I look at him and I go, man, this is what I want my son to grow into. So, man, I got a lot of love for Jaden Hardaway.
Yeah, man, you're talking about a guy who he really don't have to do this. You know what I mean? Like he's not going pro. But he's just, he's gotten better and better. He's a high IQ player. You know what I mean? He's not the best player in the world, but he's fine. You know what I mean? He's fine. So I'm excited for him, man. And he's in that leadership role in the team. I'm sure he's the guy he can kind of tell everyone how everything is going. You talk about a guy's extension of the coach. I mean, your dad's literally the coach. So, yeah, I'm excited about him. I'm excited about all of this, man. Like I said, ready for the ball to get rolling. The team is about to get up out of here. Think they're headed to the DR soon. Somebody asked a question. What do you think about the extracurricular things that DR has to offer? I was like, what? What?
Yo, chill out, bro.
Oh, man. If you hear that question asked, you hear somebody laughing. Yes, that was me at the press conference because that shit was funny as hell. But, yeah, man.
What are you going to do at the DR? Don't ask Anthony Sain that question.
Don't ask me. And I was about to say, Penny, do y'all need any adult chaperones? Because I would be in that joint.
A loose definition of the word chaperone.
Yeah, don't put me in Terry Davis' room. I don't would be an accomplice or witness to nothing.
Shout out Terry Davis.
Shout out to my boy T. Deasy at the Tri-State Defender. But yeah, we're about to take a break, man. We got a special edition of the Sit Down with Sain, one of my favorite people to read as a young man coming up reading the Commercial Appeal. He's now at the Daily Memphian. My man, Geoff Calkins, coming on next for the Sit Down with Sain here on the Anthony Sain Show. We will see you guys in a minute.
What's up, guys? I'm so excited to announce that we have partnered with Coaching for Literacy, and you can read more about them at coachingforliteracy.org or follow them on social media at Coaching for Literacy. Your subscription to Bluff City NIL is 100% tax deductible because of our partnership together. Thank you for supporting Memphis Tiger student athletes and helping promote the monumental cause of childhood literacy.
Welcome back to the Anthony Sain Show for Sit Down with Sain. I have a very special guest, Mr. Geoff Calkins, a columnist from the Daily Memphian, as well as the host of the Geoff Calkins Show, which you can hear, of course, every Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. on 92.9 ESPN. Geoff, what's going on, my brother?
I'm glad to be here. I like the day.
Cool little setup, huh, man?
It is a cool setup, although you got Tubby Smith, little Tubby bobblehead kind of hidden
off in the corner. Yeah, we got Geoff waiting to get him off the 25 game.
Ready to go.
Yeah, we're gonna bring Geoff back. We're gonna bring Geoff back up top.
I like it. I'm impressed.
25 games. It's good stuff in here, man. Glad to see you here, of course. Before we jump in, Geoff, I have some confessions and some side notes to go over with you.
Let's have.
All right, number one confession. I'm gonna tug on your heartstrings a little bit first before I snatch your heart out. Probably. I've always been an admirer of your work. I used to work for Foot Locker on Lamar Avenue, the outlet store. You remember that store?
Yeah, I do.
I used to work at that store, and I used to catch the bus to that Foot Locker. And when I would catch the bus didn't go all the way down to where that Foot Locker was. It may have, but I think part of my routine was I would get off at that McDonald's right there, which isn't a McDonald's anymore. I think it's like a hotel or something now. Right. It's crazy that they turned the McDonald's into somewhere to live. Anyway, I would get off at that McDonald's, and I would eat breakfast. And that's back when there would be a free commercial appeal in every McDonald's.
Everybody, because someone read it and left it. Yeah.
And I would sit there like an old man, and I would read my commercial appeal. I might have been 20. You know what I mean? I would read my commercial appeal, maybe 19, 20 years old, and I would read your columns. And that was like the equivalent of having Twitter back in the day, was sitting there reading your column every day. I mean, that was all the sports news I needed.
In many ways, like, that's what I remember from growing up. I would read the paper every day. I couldn't wait for the paper to get there. Back then in Buffalo, we had two papers, and if I misbehaved, my parents would say no newspaper for a week. And to have that job, to be the guy, like, that's all I ever wanted. To be the guy whose little picture was in the paper back when the paper mattered. Right. In the way that it just can't now, because the way that media has changed. And to have that job was an incredible, it really was. It was a privilege. And it wasn't me as much as it was, if you were the columnist in a city, like, it meant something. And it was a responsibility. And I totally relate to that, because I was that guy reading the columnist in Buffalo. His name was Larry Felser.
And reading your columns kind of gave me the thought process to think like a columnist and not like a fan. Like, I would kind of look at sports differently, because I was looking at it literally daily through the eyes of stuff you were writing.
And so, I think that's how people. I think that's how you do it. When you start out, I used to when I first got the job at the Commercial Appeal, writing columns, and I didn't know that I could do it.
Hook you up, Jeff.
I didn't know that I could do it.
There you go.
I I used to carry a book of Mitch Albom, who's the columnist in Detroit, of his column collection in my backpack. Mm-hmm. And I'd sit in my car before a game and I'd like read 3 of his columns to sort of figure out this is how he does what he does. Because I think in the end, you learn, it's just like a basketball player watches someone else's moves, right? And says, let me see if I can do that. And I think it's the same thing with people who write and talk about sports.
Right. Well, I'm still pulling on your heartstrings for now.
And now you're going to snatch
No. Not yet. When I started doing my thing, when I started covering, I started off doing Tiger football games first, and then Tiger basketball. Then I started doing Grizzlies stuff. And the first time I did a Grizzlies game, I was writing. I don't even know who I was writing for. Might have been writing for myself. I don't know. Right. I was writing for somebody. Probably Tri-State Defender. So the first time I'm writing for a game, it's nobody in the media room but me and you. We're the only 2 people left. Uh-huh. And I said, I'm not going to leave this media room, Kenny Stubblefield, until Geoff Calkins leaves. No reason why. I just thought I'm not leaving. I'm going to wait him out.
I'm slow, so that was a long time.
Yeah, man. It was probably like a midnight there by the time I got
I'm a slow writer, so that was a long time.
Yeah. Now, I'll tear your heart out on this one.
Go ahead.
Because, sometimes your heroes can let you down and disappoint you a little bit. I was covering a Tiger football game. And I'm going to tell you something about black people, first of all. We're real clean. We're real into cleanliness and hand washing. And I don't know if you knew that or not. Like, we overcook our food. Okay, You'll never see a black person with salmonella poisoning.
And how did I offend?
We were in line, and it was some rendezvous or something like that. And he had some sausage and cheese plates or something like that. And, Geoff, you just bare knuckle, reached into the food, ate off of it. Went right back into it. I
bet I only took the piece of sausage that I'm the 8th of 9 children. So I might have been raised by wolves. Like we had to fight for our food. So we couldn't pause for the niceties like that. We just grabbed, and otherwise you'd be left out.
I feel you, Geoff. But that bothered me. I said, this man just bare knuckled the food.
That is disappointing.
But it's
disappointing. Not surprised. I'll be honest. I plead to that. That's probably true. Yeah. Not surprising. But
But it's all good though. Geoff.
Yeah.
Because I started guest hosting shows on 92.9. I guest hosted Joe's show. Felt extremely honored to do that for sure.
I remember that. It's funny though. Like one of the things that's interesting to me is that I am conscious of the fact that in a media room or wherever else. I've been around for a while, so people know who I am. And if someone young comes along, like you don't want to be the guy who's rude or who treats a young, I said hello and they didn't give me the time of day.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is I'm often lost in my own head.
Right.
Like I think I come across as aloof because I'm thinking about the column or whatever. So I sort of live in fear that a 22-year-old or 20, we'll say, I talked to Calkins once and he was rude. I never mean to be. I try to go out of my way because people did with me too. But I know that sometimes I can come across in that media room as like, who's he think he is? But I'm really like just thinking about the column. I'm the guy who leaves his car running all the time, routinely, all the time.
Lose your wallet.
Lose my wallet, exactly.
Yeah, for those of y'all who don't know, Geoff left his wallet in 92.9, and I was doing Jason and John's show.
And Anthony found it.
I found it.
Plucked it out of the
Charged
rain.
him.
Plucked it out of the rain.
Yeah, was not giving it to him for
$40.
He got a hot 40. Exactly. And that $40 paid for my son's John Morant shoes.
Well, there you go. This interview, $40, by the way.
That's how you do it, man. That's how you do it.
Right.
Also, we had a super fun wrestling angle that was DMing on a few years ago.
I don't know how this happened.
I can't remember the details.
We had a fake feud.
People really thought we hated each other.
And people thought we hated each other.
I had people DMing me like, man, relax, pray about it.
He's not people like, Anthony's a good guy. You should stop taking shots at him. And we were just, and they were going to literally set up a wrestling match where we were each going to
represent
wrestlers. We were going to get a and I think Sarita was Sarita.
Yeah, Kevin Sarita was going. He was putting it together.
But then I think COVID hit or something, and so then we had to drop that shtick.
Yeah, our good friends at 901 Wrestling were putting together something where a guy was going to represent you,
and
a guy was going to represent me. We were
going
to come down to the ring with them and do it for charity. It was going to be fun, but COVID came in.
COVID ruined everything.
Smacked it. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's it. That's my confessions and my.
I appreciate that.
And my side notes. But yeah. Did your heart feel pulled out about the
both? Yeah, I feel exposed about the food, but I'm glad you read my columns at the.
But I got through it though, man. It just kind of bothers me to see you just
Well, see, my view of that is that if it's a sausage there and I can get the sausage
without touching nothing,
without touching anyone else's sausage, who cares? Now, if I'm in there grabbing all the sausages and letting 5 of them drop back into that would be rude. But I can just get my own sausage. That's fine. I haven't violated violated any rules at that point.
Yeah, well, we got
a ruling on that. But I think if you can get the sausage that's just your piece of sausage, you don't need to use a toothpick.
I got you. I don't agree, but I respect.
Fine. You understand? You hear me anyway.
Yeah. On social media, sometimes I'll see you like in a Tigers group or a Grizzlies group. You might drop an article in there, or I think you're kind of like me. You go in there just to kind of gauge, what a crowd of people are saying about a certain situation. What do you think about social media in general, as far as because I think it's gotten to the point where it's just too much freedom. People you don't have to verify who you are. You don't have to be a real person, especially on Twitter or X or whatever. But on Facebook, typically people are using a real name. But it's like, what I mean is, it seems like it's too much access. Like, fans can say whatever they want to say to players, coaches, players' parents, in these groups or whatever. Media, do you think it's just too much sometimes? Like, we just have too much access 100%. To people.
I mean, in some ways, it's great because people who never, like it used to be, if you wanted to make your way in the media career, you had to do it a certain way. You had to go work for a little newspaper and then a big newspaper. And then, honestly, it's the same thing with making music. If you wanted to make music, you had to get a record. You had to get a contract with a record company. Now you can go on TikTok and in a way, the access is it absolutely spreads opportunity to everybody. The problem is that a consumer of this news or whatever else on Twitter or where you don't anymore know who the hell has any credibility or not. And
guys like me just out here just doing stuff.
Well, I mean, that's good. Like, in a way, if you do, in the end, learn who's good and who's not. But, and honestly, Elon Musk didn't help when he took away blue checks. Like, I don't miss my blue check, but I miss other people's blue checks. Like, I mean, like, I don't miss my blue
I need
check.
to get that check back.
Because I'm like, I miss other, who the hell am I, on whatever the topic is, whether it's aliens or whatever, who's the expert? Who has some credibility? And I think it's a real problem with news generally. There's no truth anymore. There's only 17 different versions of the truth, and from 12 of them, they're crackpots. And so I think it makes it harder to figure out what's real and what's not on any topic.
Because I was looking at going back to we were talking about how you used to read your stuff in the newspaper. Back in the day back in my day, when you had the newspaper, television, Sports Center, whatever, you would get, Bronny James cardiac arrest. And you get their takes on it, you read a take on it, and you go ahead and about your day. Now it's like, I'm glad I didn't take the vaccine. It's ridiculous. It's crazy stuff, man. You know what I mean?
Crazy, ridiculous stuff. And then there are whole groups of people who believe that crap. And if you have enough people saying it, you're in an echo chamber, and it's like, okay, well, this must be a credible argument about vaccines because there's all these crackpots saying it. And no, it doesn't make it credible just because there's a lot
of people saying it.
Just because there's 12% of America that believes kooky conspiracy theories about vaccines. Like we didn't have heart attacks before vaccines. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff, man. You announced recently that you're no longer solely the sports columnist at the Daily Memphian, that you'll be doing more articles that affect, social issues, economic issues, all these type of issues within the city. I was excited to see that. I think that you're somebody who definitely is built for that. I think you have a passion for that. What exactly makes you so passionate about those type of issues outside of sports in the city of Memphis?
It's funny because it's been hard, because what you realize is, like, writing about sports, Penny has a press conference, you can write about the press conference. And I've been doing it for decades, and I know it. Here, half the city loses power. How do I write it? Like, I have to jump in and write a column about whose fault it is. Like, it's hard to figure out. Today, I don't know when this is airing, but today, what we learned is the Justice Department is going to be investigating the Memphis Police Department for civil rights violations. Am I an expert on that suddenly? Like, there is going to be a real element of bringing myself up to speed. But I think after 30 years, basically, of doing this, I still care about Memphis sports. I'm still going to do the 2-hour radio show every day primarily about Memphis sports. But I care more about, and I think most of us do. I care more about the city than I care about Memphis sports. I
Right.
care more about Memphis than I do about Memphis sports. And it feels like right now, honestly, we're kind of in a tipping point or a crisis point, or like it does. And so I just figured, rather than writing the same sports columns all over again for another 5 years, let's give a shot at writing about some other stuff. And I do think I have the benefit that because I've been doing this for a while, people might listen to me in a way that a lot of times when you're writing about civic issues, people only listen, they listen to the people who absolutely agree with them 100%.
Right.
They don't listen to the other people. Well, maybe I can write about it in a way that some people will listen to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you'll be great at it, though, man. I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, especially with you still doing the show. On your show, you do sports stuff well, and you also talk about these type of issues already anyway, so it'll be a natural transition for sure. A few years ago, during the height of a lot of social justice things and Black Lives Matter type stuff, you were speaking about Colin Kaepernick,
Right.
and protesting, and he at the time was speaking about injustice and how Black people were oppressed in America, and you kind of slighted that whole situation. I know you got a lot of kickback from people calling in, tweeting you. I was tweeting you all these type of things, but of course, people felt the way about what you were saying, especially Black people, because we've been oppressed in America.
Right.
So, but you've since then you've taken that back and you realized that you were in error when you said that, and you changed.
Yeah, what I said, what was interesting is at the time I wrote like 5 hot takes a day or something.
Right.
And what I actually said was I was supporting, of course, Colin Kaepernick should kneel. Of course he should express his opinion.
Yeah.
What the hell are we about as a country?
Right.
In passing, I said, because he had said, America oppresses Black people. And I said, it's not the official policy of America to oppress Black people. It was actually a semantics argument I was making. Like, I 100%, even then, believed, of course, that Black people are oppressed, have historically been oppressed, and are still oppressed. But I was just taking issue with does America oppress Black people, sort of like it sounded like China oppress, you know what I mean? Like, it was a stupid thing to say because the truth of the matter is I've always been on that side. I mean, it's not, of course, it's self-evident that America has first enslaved Black people, and then after that was over, institutionally oppressed Black people.
Right.
You don't have to. I was an American history major, and it only even began as a policy matter to start to change in the 1960s, and even today. So honestly, it was a stupid semantics sentence that I wrote, but I've always been, and it infuriates me that even now I was having this argument with someone. Someone was saying well, when will the debt be paid? This is a white guy that I know. He said, when will the debt be paid? And I said, it's not about paying a debt. It's about understanding that the world exists in this country, that we created as a country. We created this unequal system where Black people are poorer and sicker and don't live as long and don't have as much money and don't have as much inherited wealth and we created that. And so let's, as a society, figure out how to fix it.
Right.
So it's not just the moral debt. There's that part of it too. It's just like we created this. Let's figure out how to address it. And what's depressing to me is whether you're looking at the Supreme Court, which is getting rid of affirmative action or whatever else, there is a refusal on the part of people who look like me to understand that this was all, this is all the product of what has happened over the last 400 years in this country.
Yeah. Do you think that working and living in a city like Memphis for the past 20-something years, do you think that's... How has that affected?
It's honestly, it's helped. It's affected me. Of course. I mean, you live in one of the poorest cities in the country, and you see it. Honestly, though, like I remember, law school helped me.
Right.
Like when I went to law school, I thought affirmative action was BS, and I remember sitting in a constitutional law class led by Larry Tribe, who's a great constitution and I'm like, yeah, no, I get it now. I get it now. So it's a process, I think, of learning. about it. And I mean, it is funny. Like, people accuse me of being liberal because I'm liberal. I mean, it's true. But more than I was when I was, I mean, I worked for a judge when I was a law clerk. I worked for an incredibly conservative judge, James Buckley, who was William F. Buckley's brother. So I am much more liberal now than I was then. And I think some of it is just looking around. You know, like, if you look around and you're honest with yourself, I don't think some of the stuff is hard to figure out.
For sure. Over to some sports stuff real fast, if you don't mind, Geoff. We'll talk a little sports stuff.
Yes.
The John Morant situation, when that stuff first came out the second time around, when he flashed the gun the second time, I was at my house cheerleading you because you were like, okay, what did he do? Like, did he really do something illegal? And what are we suspending him for? And yeah, you got to suspend him, but how many games are you talking? Because what do you really? I mean, that was your whole take about it. I applaud you for that because look at my boy Geoff, man. My boy Geoff out here.
I mean, it was ridiculously stupid what he did.
People were saying
it was incredibly stupid what he did. But it is true that if you step back, what the hell did he do?
Breathe a little bit,
What the hell did he do?
He was literally sitting in his driveway.
He was,
he was in a parked car
with a gun in a country that celebrates guns. And I mean, it's obvious. Like, people would talk about the Republican congressperson from Nashville who has guns in the Christmas card. Well, that's different because that guy is elected by his voters, and if his voters approve of that, whatever, they'll.
We just say something.
And this guy is represented by the NBA, so it is different. I understand that it is different, but I also understand why Ja or someone else might think there's a double standard here at play. You know,
but how do you think Ja is going to bounce back from all this? He's got the 25 games. You think he'll be all right, won't he?
I think he'll probably. Well, here's what I believe is that if he can, like, this is an easy thing to come back from. If he can not screw up again, because he's such an unbelievably sensational basketball player that all he has to do is just play basketball and be sensational, which he does naturally, and not be on social media with a gun. Like that, it's not that hard. I do think he was going off the rails. I mean, I don't think. I think that the stuff we saw was symptomatic of Ja living a life. Well, he would talk about it, making bad choices or dealing with stress in inappropriate ways is how he'd say it. And
now he just goes to the DR.
So so the question is he really going to change? I think it's hard to change. So I'm hopeful. And I think but I like, who the hell appears on social media a second time with a gun? That is so crazy. That I don't know. I do think I admire the Grizzlies for putting. I mean, they clearly doubled down on let's put veteran leaders around him. That's what they did with Marcus and with Marcus and with Derrick Rose. They're like, we're really invested in making sure Ja does the right things, and so I think that was the right way to go. But. And I guess I'll predict they'll be fine, but I'm not certain of it. Are you certain of it?
Man, I'm hopeful. I don't. It's like you would think that this second time really got him. You know what I mean? And I think that he just really got caught up in the moment last time. He's kind of separated himself from certain people, and if he don't get it now, man, he never will. You know what I mean? But I think he'll be fine. I'm pulling for him. Zebo said he think he'll be fine.
I'm clearly pulling for him, and I think he'll be fine. But I'm not certain. I guess you
we gotta wait him out, man.
Yeah, you would have thought the first time would have public humiliation, going on national TV, apologizing, losing all NBA. You would have thought that would have sunk in.
Yeah, we'll have to see. All right, so Geoff, guess what I did today?
Today,
you probably know.
Today, I got no idea what you did today.
So I was at the Penny Hardaway media availability.
Oh, yeah.
I know you didn't got time for that type of shit. You on some other time.
You
talking about water in Germantown.
Parth was there for the Daily Memphian. Exactly.
Yeah, you was talking about water in Germantown. You ain't got time for, the local basketball teams. Yeah. So I was there, right?
Yep.
And Penny came out, and he had like his swag was on 10. You know what I mean? That's an old term for like 2003.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was looking super confident. Not talking about his clothes, like his confidence was on 10. And it wasn't like a cockiness. It was kind of like he had like a peaceful vibe to himself. Kenny, you would agree, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he was like super confident. He looked peaceful.
He should be.
I don't know if that was just because, hey, I got a good team. Hey, I just got this other new dude. I'm gonna break the news right here on the podium. That this Jay Quan kid is here too. Oh yeah,
Walton,
I just signed him. By the way, he had that kind of he had that kind of swag. Oh, he's out there already practicing. He had that kind of swag or whatever. Do you think that the confidence that Penny Hardaway has, the peace that it seems like he has, do you think that's strictly because, hey, I got this awesome recruiting class I just signed, or that is year 5? This is getting easier.
I think it's both
to
of those.
me.
It's year 5, and he started to tick off accomplishments. Won the conference tournament last year, been in the NCAA tournament 2 years in a row. I think people outside of Memphis didn't necessarily respect him as a coach beforehand. Now I think he's earned people's respect. Right. I think he's comfortable. He knows the job. He's no longer has the IRP hanging over him. I mean, there's a lot of things I think that have gone right. And then on top of it, he very clearly has the best team he's ever had. Yeah. He has the best and oldest team he's ever had. Yeah. And so why wouldn't you feel comfortable?
Yeah, I'm the same way. What do you think about the class he's put together, like the timing of it, the level of guys he's getting? Like literally, you got Jaquan Walton this morning.
Just morning.
And he's already in practice.
Quinterly, and like it is amazing that 2 months ago there was this concern. And in fairness, like Penny was echoing the concern. Penny's like, I don't know, we got enough NIL money. Like Penny was, some of this came from Penny. And then to put together this class, he has had very good classes and very good teams before. But last year there were 2 great players and a bunch of dudes. The Wiseman year, well, then it was it was Wiseman and it was kids. It was kids. Here, they're all 25 years old. Yeah. And Penny has learned he wants to play and win with veterans. And so I think it's pretty clearly it's easily his best class. Honestly, the challenge will be last year the pecking order was clear. Kendrick was the guy, and then there's DeAndre, and then everyone else fell into place. Here, it's going to be a little more tricky because there's a bunch of alphas on this team, but that's a better problem to have than the alternative.
And it's alphas who can kind of carry that weight. It's not like you got to just put out a random name like Boogie Ellis, who in theory he thinks he's this, but you haven't really done anything.
No, I mean before you had, let's be honest, 2 years ago when it was so toxic at the beginning of the season, it's because there was Amani who hadn't done anything, and all of a sudden he's given the last shot against Georgia and over dudes who'd done stuff. Right. And so here, honestly, even I suspect there's going to be some level of mutual respect between the players because they all know that the other dude has done stuff, and they're all experienced. They've all accomplished some things. And so I think there's going to be less resentment than there was when Lester or DeAndre would look over at Amani and saying, why the hell is he taking the shot? This makes no sense whatsoever. Here, there's a bunch of hardened veterans on that team.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it for sure. You wrote an article this week, Geoff, talking about the financial situation as far as how funding might be allocated in the city with the money that's coming from the state. For the people who don't understand, and I'll be honest, I'm the people. I don't understand what y'all are talking about. Break that down for the people, like what's really going on and how you think the money should be allocated.
Well, really, Sam Hardiman from the Daily Memphian understands it more than I do, and he wrote the news story, and I sort of wrote a column to go along with it. But the real problem is that there's $600 million, give or take. Maybe it's $650, maybe it's $620, depending on the various income streams. Like, for example, one of the income streams is a sales tax rebate on stuff that's sold at FedEx Forum. Well, if a lot of stuff is sold, that's going to be more money. If the Grizzlies tank and not a lot of stuff is sold, it's going to be less money. So we don't know exactly how much money there's going to be. But if you start by saying that you look at what they did in Indiana, where the arena looks exactly like FedEx Forum. It was the same basic arena. Right. And there they spent north of $400 million of public money to redo that arena in 2019. So if it's 420, whatever it was, I think it was 420 of public money in Indiana in 2019, that's 475, 500
today.
Now here today. If there's only $600 million, well, you've promised the Liberty Bowl 150 to 200 million. So let's say it's 200 million for the Liberty Bowl. There's not enough money. There's not enough money for 500 for FedEx Forum and 200 for the Liberty Bowl.
Simple math.
Plus, they wanted a soccer stadium and they want to fix up AutoZone Park. It's just math. There's not enough money. And so I honestly think what's happening is they're negotiating with the Grizzlies about what the Grizzlies will take. And the mayor very clearly wants everybody to be happy. He wants the soccer stadium. He wants AutoZone Park. He definitely wants the Liberty Bowl. And then he wants the Grizzlies to sign a new 25-year lease. But what that depends on is getting the Grizzlies to agree to a sum that is less than the Grizzlies want, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think those are the negotiations that we're looking from the outside. I don't know exactly, but I suspect those are the negotiations that are happening. And of course, the mayor's term is coming to an end.
Right.
He'd like to get it settled, so he can claim victory over getting the money for everybody.
Right.
And so I think that's what's happening now. And it's always going to be hard when you have one pot of money. It's going to be hard to divide up that pot of money because if one person gets, for every dollar that one person gets, the other person isn't getting it. So I don't think it's alarming that there's tension, but there is tension. And I think it's becoming clearer that there's not enough money for everybody to be super happy.
Yeah, it's very interesting for sure, man. I kind of feel like I know how that's going to play out in the end.
How do you think it's going to play out?
I think the Grizzlies are going to get what they want, man. They should.
I think, it's very clear. The Grizzlies have to be the priority because they're the most important team in town and because they could leave, honestly, if that's just the reality. But I think the mayor really wants to take care of the Liberty Bowl.
Everybody, yeah.
And in particular, the University of Memphis.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how it's going to play out. And I don't know whether... let's be honest. I don't think the ownership group of the Grizzlies right now wants to kick in a lot of money. And I think the mayor thinks they probably should kick in money. That would be my guess. Now, the truth of the matter is you can argue that the University of Memphis should kick in some money too. Like, why do they get the free ride? Most universities raise money to build their own stadiums, right? It's so why aren't they kicking in money? But all this is happening, behind the scenes. I think it'll be ultimately worked out. Like, I'm not worried that the Grizzlies are leaving.
Yeah.
But I do think that you have to take care of them. Like, that's just reality. You have to take care of them. You're trying to get them to sign a new 25-year lease. And they're not going to sign a new 25-year lease unless they're happy with the building.
Right. And that's just period.
That's just the way it goes. Yeah.
It's just the way it is for sure. But, Geoff, I appreciate you, brother. This is my guy, Geoff Calkins.
It's good to be on. Thanks for
the
having
Geoff Calkins
me. Appreciate it.
Man, appreciate you, man. We're about to go to break. When we come back, the three-pointer coming up next here on the Anthony Sain Show. See y'all in a minute.
What's up, guys? I'm so excited to announce that we have partnered with Coaching for Literacy, and you can read more about them at coachingforliteracy.org or follow them on social media at Coaching for Literacy. Your subscription to Bluff City NIL is 100% tax deductible because of our partnership together. Thank you for supporting Memphis Tigers student athletes and helping promote the monumental cause of childhood literacy.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Anthony Sain Show. Great interview with my guy, Geoff Calkins. I forgot to mention this with Geoff when I had him on, Kenny. Geoff, of course, had the show Sports Files. They used to come on Channel 10, WKNO. I ain't gonna lie, man. I've been stealing this whole shit this whole time. I've been copying the man whole stilo, man. I was gonna ask him what he thought about it, but shout out to my boy Geoff.
You'd be like, is this a good mimic? Is this a good copy?
Yeah, how you feel? What you think about your boy? You know what I'm saying? Give me the side of approval. Maybe I'll call into his radio show and ask him.
It's dope though, man. Like Geoff's been around here for 3 decades almost. And,
old ass.
And
go ahead.
he definitely, man, like I feel like Geoff, you don't hear Geoff doing a whole lot of interviews.
Nah.
In fact, him coming on here with you, man,
that's my
is a big
guy,
deal.
man. Geoff's my man for sure, man. Shout out to my boy Geoff Calkins. But the 3-pointer is what we're about to jump into right now. 3 things that are on my mind today. Since the last time we did one of these in the world of sports, we call it the 3-pointer. Number 1, Kenny Stubblefield. Zach Randolph talked to Mark Giannotto in an article that he wrote in the Commercial Appeal. Go check that out. And Zebo said that he talked to Ja Morant this summer, and he thinks that Ja will be good, Kenny Stubblefield. He said that Ja is going to be okay. I talked to him earlier this summer. He's all right. I think he's going to learn from his mistake. He's going to be all right. Randolph makes it easier to envision 5 years from now, everybody looking back on this as an unfortunate stage in Morant's life and career, filled with lapses of immaturity. Like we talked about a few weeks ago with this whole Ja Morant thing, we're probably going to have to just wait Ja out, man. Just got to let him grow. We seen my boy Wild in the DR. I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad at you spending money. I ain't mad at you having fun. None of that, man. So, hey, I look at that video of Ja Wild in the DR as progress. It gets Anthony Sain 2 thumbs up. For sure. Zebo continued to say that my mind wasn't always, when I was young, on business, Randolph said, but he was given a chance to grow up here at a more advanced part of his career than Morant is at right now. This is all coming from Mark Giannotto's story in the Commercial Appeal. Zebo quoted saying, coming here to Memphis, when I did come, my career was, obviously was playing. And he said, but there were negative things surrounding the trouble that I got into when I was younger. Coming here, put it in perspective. It was like a puzzle, a perfect fit coming to Memphis. When Marcus All and Mike Conley and these great guys they already had on the team, paving the way with them, turning into all-star players and changed the organization. It was great. It was all God's plan. And Zebo's basically saying that when I came to Memphis, I got around other vets, other guys who wanted to win. That helped me with some of my immaturity issues. And like we've been talking about for the last month now, Derrick Rose, Marcus Smart, Jaren Jackson getting older, Desmond Bane getting older, those guys being leaders on this team, having a plan and a focus. I think those things, plus time, are going to help Ja Morant. And we've been talking about this for a while. People have been talking for a while. You know, need to let Zebo talk to him. Need to give it to Zebo. He's got him with Zebo. So, yeah.
And I think Memphis is the perfect spot for this to happen, right? Mm-hmm. Like, this city loves its own and will support its own until the very end. And so I'm glad that Zebo got with him, man. That's a dope get for Mark to be able to have those that quote and that article. Those are sound like good words, man.
Yeah, and the Zebo's got faith in them. I guess I do too, man. Number 2. People adding me on Twitter about this.
Oh my God! I mean, like literally, like Sain's heads exploded. Someone check on Sain
because I knew when I saw what it was. I was like, "Oh, it's just a dude talking. He don't know no better." I ain't gonna knock him for that. My man Andy Bailey at Bleacher Report read an article today, basically saying the worst player in every NBA team starting lineup. Just some dead offseason stories that guys write about.
Right.
And the Grizzlies situation was a little different. He listed his projected starters. He said that Marcus Smart, of course, is going to be a starter. Desmond Bane is going to be a starter, of course. Jaren Jackson Jr. probably, going to have another all-star season.
Yep.
Steven Adams, if healthy, Steven's going to be your center. But he was trying to, I guess he's just kind of guessing at who will be in that starting small forward spot. He probably looked at last year's minutes of guys who got the most minutes out of the guys that are left on the roster. And he projected that one Jonathan Konchar will be the starter. This is coming from the article from Mr. Bailey. It says, this one's obviously temporary. Once Ja Morant's suspension is over, Konchar will head back to the bench, and the answer to this question will probably be Smart or Adams. He's talking about who is the worst player in the starting lineup. But for now, as solid as Konchar is as a rebounder, defender, and occasional playmaker, he's clearly the weak link in a group that includes two potential All-Stars, Bane and Jackson Jr., the 2022 Defensive Player of the Year, Smart, and one of the most relentless offensive rebounders in NBA history, Steven Adams. Yeah. Guess again, because it ain't happening.
Yeah, Konchar ain't starting.
Konchar is not starting. If I were to guess if what guy would be a casualty or not on this team, I could very well see a situation where the Grizzlies say, we want to take a good look at Josh Christopher. We're going to move off of Jitty. I can see that. I can see that being a possibility.
You said it on Twitter. You said you could see him being off the team quicker than him actually starting.
Yeah. This is shout out to my boy Andy Bailey. You should have called me first.
Yeah, call Sain, man.
I could have told you.
He'll reach you. He'll talk to you.
I could have told you that ain't happening. But yeah, number 3, Kevin Durant said in the interview, he was talking about he has a cannabis company that he's starting up or whatever. And they asked him, what did Adam Silver think about it? And he said, yeah, I told Adam about it before I even got started. He said, we had a meeting about marijuana and voted on that. And he smelled weed on me one time. And he said, I just think everybody in the league smokes. Like, I think he's about right, man. Just to be honest with you, I think that a lot of guys in the league do smoke marijuana. As you know, that is no longer a substance that they test for in the NBA. I have a little transparency here, Kenny Stubblefield. around 2000, probably 19, I tried marijuana as an adult. Some edibles or something like that as an adult. Pretty fun stuff.
Yeah.
Kenny Stubblefield.
Not a bad
Not
time.
a bad ride. I was on an airplane, so that wasn't fun. Thought I was about to die somewhere over
the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, so some ocean. But yeah, because it was like, what's that cheap? The
Delta 8?
No, the cheap airline.
Oh, Spirit.
Man, that mug was shaking like a mug. That job was shaking and turbulent. Like, oh, man, I'm literally about to die. But yeah, but since then, there was a pandemic. And there's a joke about how it was like, did all y'all people over 40 start smoking weed during the pandemic? Because it's like everybody started, fooling around with it, at this point. And it's good for my glaucoma and my anxiety. So,
I know you suffer from glaucoma on a daily basis.
Yes, I do.
So
I'm a sufferer.
You're a sufferer.
Yeah. Sufferer, man. So I look into holistic options sometimes.
Listen,
what about you, Kenny? Do you dib and dabble in the medicinal, whatever the word is?
The medicinal,
yeah.
I have. Mm-hmm. I am normally a pretty quiet person anyway when it comes to, like, I'm not a big talker all the time, but I like to be quiet when I enjoy, and I have a buddy that likes to talk a lot, and it gets I very much get into my own head, but it's fun. I mean, it's nice. It helped me. I'll be completely frank with you. It helped me get off some big pharma prescription medicine that was killing me when I was taking it. So I was dealing with some legit anxiety and was taking this medicine that Big Pharma gave me and was like, I got to get off this stuff right now. Yeah. And the old THC helped me do that in a safe and effective way.
And there's so many, you got stuff like, the Delta 8, like you talked about. There are places like, shout out to my people out at Hem2O, free advertisement for you.
Yep.
You can make that official as well.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, but there's
yes, you can.
They're a great place to go to. Like the stigma over marijuana has changed because they got this stuff they do with the Delta 8 now where it's like they can kind of fine tune it to whatever you might have going on. Like
it's the hemp plant. It's not the actual leaves. It's the plant. It's
so
the
they
hemp.
they can do so many different things with it. And I'm a big, and it's legal.
So do you think that? So like even if we wanted to bring this back to the Tigers for a second, that's what. We mentioned in I think the first segment about Jaquan, he was dismissed from Alabama because of a weed charge. And it's just interesting. Like, I just don't think people care about that stuff anymore, man.
Shout out to Penny for rehabilitating that man.
Yeah, like
send him the way God does.
Yeah, exactly. As my guy Cat Williams used to say, marijuana's not a drug. It's a plant that if you just so happens to set it on fire.
Right. But yeah, it's good stuff. It's good for my glaucoma. It's good for me and Kenny's anxiety. Go check them out, my good friends over at. I want to get in trouble with Mark King. To me, man.
Free plug.
No, I don't want Zach Thomas telling me to stop giving people free plugs. So yeah, go get you some weed though. the legal stuff. It's good for you.
Go to Kevin Durant's cannabis company.
K Danibus. K Dinamus. Yeah. Go check that out for sure, man. We're about to take a break, man. And when we come back, going to wrap this thing up with the Sain brain. Very, very interesting story I want to share with you guys today. Come check it out. Come back in a minute for the Anthony Sain Show. We'll see you guys in a
What's up, guys? I'm so excited to announce that we have partnered with Coaching for Literacy, and you can read more about them at coachingforliteracy.org or follow them on social media at Coaching for Literacy. Your subscription to Bluff City NIL is 100% tax deductible because of our partnership together. Thank you for supporting Memphis Tiger student athletes and helping promote the monumental cause of childhood literacy.
Welcome back to the Anthony Sain Show. Final segment of the show. We call this thing Inside the Sain Brain. I was on Twitter today, or X, whatever they call it. Man, y'all need to go ahead and switch over too, man. Like, if you go to twitter.com on a mobile device or the website, I mean, you got X, right? It says X, but on the app it's still Twitter. Man, come on, man. Just go ahead and get it over. You gonna change it? Change it. But anyway, I could have just made that my subject for today, X and Twitter. Anyway, I was on Twitter and I see this very interesting story about Hulk Hogan, current WWE whatever wrestler Hulk Hogan, and a battle he had with Marvel Comics, which I didn't know existed. As you all know, you got Hulk Hogan, you got the Incredible Hulk. I did not know that there was like litigations about between those two all my life, basically. These are quotes from Hulk Hogan. He says, right when Hulk Hogan takes off, the name Hulk Hogan, we get a call from Marvel Comics. It says, you're infringing on our trademark, reasonably similar. We're going to sue you, put you in litigation. We let them have the name, didn't license the name, only had to pay them 1/10 of 1%. And that deal, Kenny Stubblefield, was from 1985 to 2005, right?
That's crazy, man.
Marvel Comics was allowing Hulk Hogan and the WWE to use the name Hulk Hogan, but they were getting, what does it say? The percentage was
1/10 of 1%
of everything that they made off of the Hulk Hogan name. You're talking about toys, T-shirts, whatever. Anything Hulk Hogan they were doing, they were getting that amount of money off the top of it.
I wonder how much money that was.
Who knows? You know what I mean? But then it says in 2005, when the deal is over, he's like, I'm still Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? So Now what are we going to do? He says he went to his attorney and he says, I don't give a damn what deal you make. You're going to make a deal because I need the name. What happened was I got a 1-year extension and had to pay them 30% of everything that I made. This is in 2005.
Of everything he made?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Marvel Comics, he had to pay this to. Movies, television, wrestling, they got 30% of everything. But if they decided to sell the name, they had to give me first shot at it. That was the deal they made. They couldn't sell the name or do anything. Fair market value. All of a sudden, Marvel Comics gets into a bitch fest with WWE about intellectual properties that they can't re-air old Hulk Hogan matches. Marvel Comics stopped the WWE from showing anything that had to do with Hulk Hogan. During this time. We didn't even know it. Marvel Comics lost. They owe Vince $35 million. They made a huge mistake. They said, instead of paying $35 million, how about we give you, Hulk Hogan, the Hulk Hogan name? We just give it to you. We don't owe nobody nothing. I heard about it. No, they were trying to get this to WWE.
Yeah, trying to sell
Hulk Hogan jumps in and says, no, sell it to me and screw the $35 million. He pays for the rights to his name back for $750,000. And now Hulk Hogan owns Hulk Hogan. He bought that name Hulk Hogan from
the trademark, the copyright, all that.
To able to use his own name from Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics out here, man, some like some bosses, man. Some like some real bosses, for sure. I did not know that. I thought that was a super dope story of how Marvel Comics had the WWE by the balls, especially in 2005 for that 1 year when they were getting 30% of everything that had to do with Hulk Hogan.
Because, Hulk Hogan, that name and everything he's been a part of is worth so much money.
And if you think 85 to 2005, you're talking about rock and wrestling years, and he was like Hulkamania, the prayers, the vitamins, I Am a Real American, all that. NWO, Hulk Hogan, all that was during that time. And they were pinching off the top of everything he did. He was having to pay he have the permission to even use the name Hulk Hogan. And Marvel Comics was back there just eating off of this dude the whole entire time. God, I did not know that, man. I just thought that was a super dope story.
That is just like you're talking about a part of that. I mean, that's just so much money that we don't even understand. Right? Like 1% of 1% of 1 or 1/10 of 1%. I'm sure was pretty good money even back then.
Yeah,
like that's such unbelievable. That's so crazy, man. Marvel is that's how you trademark the Hulk.
What's 1% of a million?
Oh my God! Come on, man.
It seems like we should know that.
I press buttons for a living, man.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of money.
1%.
Probably like $10,000 of every million.
0.01 times of 1 million. You said?
Yeah. What's 1% of 1 million? Shit, I don't know. Y'all know.
$10,000.
So they got 1/10 of that. So they made $1,000 of every $1 million he made, which ain't a lot of money.
But just to do nothing.
To do nothing, though. They just pinching off.
Would you take $1,000?
Hell yeah.
Just to do nothing?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, shout out to Marvel Comics. Shout out to Hulk Hogan for slipping in and buying his shit.
That man said $750K. I'll take that myself.
Yep. Yep.
Because you know he made that back instantly.
Real quick. But yeah, it's crazy. He didn't even own his name. The peak of the entire Hulk Hogan run, he never even owned his name.
Hulkamania.
Yeah, they was getting money off of it. Yeah, crazy, bro. Never knew that. Never even thought about. Of course, I knew it was Hulk Hogan. I knew it was the Incredible Hulk. But I didn't know that Marvel wasn't cool with him using that name. How would we know? You know what I mean? That's crazy.
I guess we wouldn't.
Cool stuff, man. But yeah, it's been an exciting show. Thanks to our guest today, Geoff Calkins, of the Geoff Calkins Show and from the Daily Memphian. Man, thanks for all you guys checking us out so far. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for sharing this wherever you go. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for liking. We appreciate you guys, man. Yeah, man, exciting stuff going on in the city of Memphis. University of Memphis basketball getting ready to kick off pretty soon. Tiger football about to jump off. Yeah, man, go check out all that stuff. The TBT back this weekend. The Beale Street Boys aren't in it. But yeah, go watch it. It's basketball. You got what else you got this weekend, man? You got slam ball this weekend, of course.
Man, UFC. Listen, I don't know if you're a big fan.
It's a boxing match.
UFC 291 is this weekend on Saturday night.
Oh man, what time? I thought it was a boxing match. Is it a boxing match and a UFC?
I mean, there might be a boxing match, but I don't really watch boxing like that. I'm a big UFC guy. UFC 291, Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. I'm be watching that. Absolutely watching that.
That sounds good, man, for sure. Well, man, we're going to let y'all go. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend. For my boy, Kenny Stubblefield, behind the glass, this your boy, Anthony Sain. We'll see you guys on Wednesday on the Anthony Sain Show, and we up out of here.
Thank you for listening to the Anthony Sain Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next week.